MIN stands for your most important now. And even in a moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour, kind of appointment to appointment, just reminding yourself of what is my MIN in this engagement or thing that I'm involved in. That should be the thing that I'm focusing on, and everything else should be secondary. If you have too many things going on, it is so easy to lose sight of the fact that this is what's important in the moment.
Welcome to the Chad Carden podcast, where people and culture make all the difference. Our guests are real leaders that are making real impact by creating even better cultures and even better results. We're going to talk about things that most people aren't talking about. We're going to talk about things that leaders are thinking but might be scared to say. We're going to get into issues that can give you practical and tactical ways to set you up for a higher probability of success. Let's get after it. We are live. I couldn't find anybody else to be on the podcast today, so I found my buddy Stephen. No, listen, you are in for a treat. If you're a listener or watch this thing, you need to grab a pen and paper. This guy, and I'm not overstating this, he has mastered the people game. I have known Stephen, gosh, almost over 20 years now.
Yes.
We used to kind of compete and work in the same space, and then we decided to join forces and work together. And he's just been somebody that I have learned so much from, and I couldn't be more excited that he took some time out to be a guest on this podcast. So Stephen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chad. Great to be here.
There is so much to tell, but why don't you give the audience a little bit about your rich history and how you got into this space and sort of what you're doing right now with Day One and, traveling the globe and making impact.
Yeah. So where do I start? My passion around this type of work really came from a passion around teaching. And so I come from a family of educators. My mom was a French teacher. My dad kind of cut his teeth in education, first in administration, then in teaching. My uncle was an educator. And so I admired people that devoted their lives to education because there are very few fields or jobs out there that touch as many people as people that teach. And I loved school. I loved every part of school. I loved learning. I loved being in the classroom. I always looked forward to school. Like in the summertime, I never dreaded school starting, and I always hated it when it was over. Trust me, I enjoyed my summers. Yeah, but that really kind of was very, very formative for me. And so when I went to get my master's degree, I started in education, and I said I want to be a teacher. And as I made it through that part of my life where I got my education and my master's degree, I got turned on to corporate training and development. And this was more as like a side hustle. My dad, late in his career, got into corporate training and development. And he had always said, Stephen, you'd be a natural in this industry and you'd be really good and your passion for teaching would be great. I don't want to spoil your dream of being an educator or administrator, but you might want to try it out. And so simultaneously, as I'm getting my master's degree in education, I had a door open in this industry. I started working in this industry, and like 2.5 years later, I said goodbye to the teaching career and went full force into the area of organizational development, training, et cetera, coaching. And I never looked back. It's been amazing.
Yeah. 3 decades, right? Damn near.
Yeah. Close. 26 years.
Yeah. Unbelievable. You, again, I don't say that lightly. I mean, I've spent 20 years with you. I mean, you have mastered people. You have a chance to travel the globe, right? See a lot of different cultures, a lot of different impact. I always make an argument that there are differences, but there are similarities. What are the similarities that you think when it comes to working with people to drive better results? What would you say are just anchor points that no matter where you're at, here are things to keep in mind and master?
The big piece that I think is people have to know you're on their side. I don't care where you are in leadership. I don't care if you're like getting up in front of an audience of people. Like the first message you have to share with people is that I am on your side and I'm doing my best to understand where you're seated as well. I can't I think you can never say that you know where people are, but I do think you can exhibit a lot of curiosity and humility around really wanting to understand where they are. I think that's the first step. I think that the second step is finding just common ways to engage, and not kind of the superficial stuff, but just around like helping people understand that you're human, and that the stuff that you're scared of, that becomes a headache, the stresses that you have, and the things that make life joyful and make it challenging also is the way to connect, and being human in that way. And then I think the third is being willing to help and
Yeah, that
demonstrating that you have a
yeah, I
helping
mean,
spirit.
that's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think wrapped up in all of that, and you obviously do this, is just showing up authentically. I mean, you show up authentically, like, I'm on your side, I'm
Thank
here
you.
to help,
Yeah,
those types
thanks.
of things. Going back to your dad, I met your dad before I met you and didn't even know it, right?
That's so funny.
Grand Hyatt. We were working a different
Yeah,
project, and he was in another room,
yeah,
and the guy was loud, and I was on a break
yeah.
or something. So he invited me in. I mean, you know your dad, right? Hey, come on in. And I remember, this is what I remember. This is no joke. He had a patterned shirt, right? He always wore a patterned shirt with a tie, and he was sitting down kind of in the middle of the group
Yeah.
facilitating.
Just talking to him.
And then years later, when I met you, you had a patterned shirt. And I go,
Look,
I've
I'm
seen
wearing one right now.
I've
I'm
seen
wearing one
something
now.
like this
Yeah.
before. And then we
Yeah.
connected the
Yeah.
dots. It was
No,
absolutely crazy.
rip off the old block.
Yeah. Family's a big thing for you.
Yes.
We'll probably go a lot of different directions here, but how did your family foundation kind of shape what you do in business and how you lead, day one in your company?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, as you know, my dad was a huge force in my life, kind of in all aspects, but especially in this industry. But family is, I'd say it's like my biggest priority, Chad. And I was brought up in a house where family was first, right? In all aspects. Like, I think you even came once to our Sunday dinner when you were in New York. And if I, like, I think life would be a lot better with people that if we still made time to have Sunday dinner with our families and our extended family, like we would stay out of a lot of trouble. And I say that just because the more time spent with the people that you love and the people that you're similar to and the people that you are, share so many core experiences and values, I just think the more you become a better version of yourself. And then those things are the things that then you can translate and share with other people. And so a big part of us was spending time together. I think another big thing for us that I see is like mixing generations. Around the dinner table, we still do Sunday dinner. Around the dinner table, my mom's there, my wife and I are there, my kids are there, our nieces and nephews, my siblings, their children. So like missing generations. And the reason why I think that's also so helpful is we are we are in touch with the wisdom of people that are older than us, younger than us, and also at our own um, own years, contemporaries. And I just think it's such a great way to see the world 360 degrees, and also demonstrate you still have a lot to learn. I learned so much from just being with my teenage kids, like just about what's the lingo that's out there, what are kids watching, what are people looking on social media, what are the expressions that people use at that age that I don't even know. I wouldn't even know what they meant unless they translated them for
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
But I think that's a big piece. And I think if I bring that into the corporate environment, that idea of having dinner together, spending time together, getting to know one another, I think that just is the foundation of trust. Where then, if I have that kind of great foundation of trust, we can accomplish great things.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you do this stuff so naturally that it becomes unconscious to you, but this is a really big deal. Like, one of the things that I think is you have some amazing attributes, but one of the things that I watch you do very well is you connect, right? You create connection versus gaps, and you help people connect in a way that's authentic and sincere. And that connection where we're learning from one another and we're breaking bread together, to use yours, and we're having these conversations and we're growing together. You do that on all facets of your life, but especially in, the corporate setting, when you're helping people understand how to truly work together to get better results. It's about understanding each other. It's about being open. It's about knowing that you don't know it all and having that humbleness. I mean, those are things that are really rare, that are just everyday staples in your life, which is candidly very impressive.
I take that for granted. And Chad, you're cut from the same cloth, right? So it's always interesting to hear like your background and my background, just reiterating it out loud. I'm like, Chad and I have had such a similar journey in this space. But I do take that for granted. I do take that for granted. And I don't know if I don't know if that's the norm. It's certainly something we want to create for our kids, but I also want to, when I go into an organization, my own organization, I want people to feel that I'm regarding them as like a very dear person or dear group or dear team to me, and that they see that that's my first intention.
Yeah. Yeah. Where it shows up for me is when I watch other people run meetings and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I take for granted, and you're a master at it, and I've stolen everything from you, but it's just it's incredible. And I think what happens is, this is just my hypothesis, is when people see that, and it really is authentic, it's not manufactured, you just really elevate your brand, right? You elevate your brand because you're just showing up in a different way, and they recognize it. They might not ever tell you, but it's something like, okay, this you command, yet you have that comfort. It's
I
awesome to
I
watch.
look at it as two things, Chad. Like, can you prove something really quickly when you're with me? Number one is that you're going to make my time valuable, and then the second is, are we going to accomplish what we set out to accomplish? And I guess the other thing is, did I enjoy? Is this an enjoyable exchange?
Yeah.
And I think you're right. We take it for granted, but I think we have to be thinking about that when we look back at any interaction we have with people. We got to be looking at like, did I hit those three goals?
Yeah, and again, going back to what you said earlier, it's understanding that you have that best person's thoughts and their interest in mind as you're driving that thing forward. We do are literally, we are parallel in our tracks, and
So
it
many
actually
tracks. It's
brought us
unbelievable.
together. There's a lot of leaders that you work with a lot of great organizations that really continuously want to elevate their game, but I think a lot of times, and the unseen risk, or I think sometimes we're our biggest headwind. I raise my hand on that. When you're working with young leaders, I mean, you took a risk, right?
Yes.
Decade ago,
Yeah.
15 years ago, you took a risk and went out on your own and began to do your own thing. How do you help people manage or get over that risk factor when, people have a lot of ambitions, a lot of goals? What do you do to help people, get out of their own way and take that leap?
I mean, I think first you got to create the space where those risks are present, right? And so you can't play it safe. Like you gotta, and I know this as a father. I know this as a husband. I know this also as a person that leads a business. That if you're shying away from putting yourself into the arena where risks are a part of your daily oxygen or your daily intake, then people are not going to do that. So they have to see you doing that. They have to see, and here's some places where I see it. Number one, not shying away from difficult conversations. Two, not or getting involved in making tough decisions. Three, challenging the status quo. Right. Bridging new relationships in terms of getting out of your comfort zone and not dealing with the same people all the time, every day, any day. And so I think it's all about example, about how do I show people that we're constantly willing to get outside our comfort zone. And in our work, Chad, I think about this. I take it so for granted, and I keep on saying that. But the amount of times we get up in front of groups of strangers, meet with totally different people on a daily basis, like all I look at that is like, this is just new chinks in the armor to continue to like strengthen it. just getting into that situations is like another comfort zone expansion, another comfort zone expansion. And I think you have to model that. I think the second thing is you have to let people know that you have their backs if they fail, because not every expansion of the comfort zone is going to lead to success, and people are really afraid of failing. And if people understand that those little failures don't mean much, they don't add up to much, with the exception of maybe a smack to the ego, then you're just kind of continuing to layer on Teflon that just makes you stronger for the next time.
Sure.
And I think we live in a culture where we are so afraid of like letting people feel awkward, letting people, fall, the helicopter parent mentality,
Yeah.
which is certainly rampant now. I think we do people a disservice, and we have to put them in situations and then let them see that it didn't kill them and that they're learning from the next time.
Yeah, I just had a recent conversation with my 16-year-old, and I told him, and I think I got this. I think I saw the Dana White say this or something. I mean, the world is so. If you're half a savage these days, and I mean savage in a positive way, right? Like
Yes,
willing
yeah.
to take risks, willing to go out there, you can really create a path that whatever your definition of success is, that's right for you
Yes.
as you go forward. I want to take this in so many different directions because you're
So,
just so much
yeah.
of a wealth, and I appreciate you allowing me to bounce. Another thing I think that I admire about the almighty Stephen is, and I mean this sincerely, your ability. Listen, I've traveled the globe with you. You traveled I think last time we talked, you said I'm going to be in India the next week or
Yeah.
whatever it is. And
I
then
was
one
there
time
3 weeks
from
ago.
Hong Kong, I think you were getting a pedicure in Hong Kong one time. You sent me a picture. You travel all over. You have a huge
Those poor
family.
people.
You have
Those poor
huge
people.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people will make an excuse that there's so much noise, right? Or I can't do this, or I'm so busy and I'm doing, you are one that really understands your priorities. You prioritize. There's some non-negotiables for you. Talk to us about how did all of that happen? Is that just part of your DNA, or did that evolve? And B, what are some tips that you would suggest if I feel I'm just out of whack all the time? How can I potentially rein that back in?
Yeah. I wish I could say that was part of my DNA. I don't think it is. I think it had amazing modeling in my life around like what was most important. I mentioned a few things before. Like my grandparents were not terribly wealthy people in the sense of with materially, but the most important thing was like getting together for events and really celebrating. And I could see that that's where they put all their love and effort into it. And seeing that modeled for me, both by my grandparents, by my aunts and uncles, by my parents, allowed me to see like, all right, that's some of the most important stuff in life that we make time for. We put money towards. We invite people to celebrate. We invite people to be a part of it. So I think I was brought up with that as like, let's focus on the important stuff and let the other stuff slip aside. I think getting married and having a big family, I'm the father of 7 kids. If you're going to operate at that scale from a family perspective, you have to be able to thin slice and be like, this is what we're focusing on here. We could doing 1,000 things, but these are the things that are most important. And my wife Libby and I are totally aligned, both in terms of like how we parent, how we make decisions, what choices we make, and I think that also helps. Like having the, like you say a lot, like steel sharpens steel. I have with me a partner in life that sharpens the steel, and she and I sharpen hers. I hope, just so that we're always doing that. But if I was going to give advice to people, the first thing that I would say is like, um, why why am I on this earth, and what purpose do I serve here? And what am I really good at bringing out in other people? And what am I good at like really showing that these are my strength areas? And then that's what I would be focusing on. I also think I have to be looking at where am I making the biggest impact? And that's another piece that I just think uh, if we're making a big impact, keep doing what you're doing. A wise coach of mine also once said, he said, Stephen, he used this expression called your min, MIN. And I took it to heart. Min stands for your most important now. And even in a moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour, kind of appointment to appointment, just reminding yourself of what is my min in this engagement or thing that I'm involved in, that should be the thing that I'm focusing on, and everything else should be secondary. So right now, my focus is totally on this podcast. I don't have anything going on. My cell phone isn't even the same room as me. The only person I'm focusing on right now is talking to you and helping myself come up with the right thoughts at the right moments. But that's my min. And so I'm with my kids after I come home from Philadelphia yesterday while I'm eating a late dinner. My min is to hear about the last 3 days with them and really get their high points of those last 3 days so that I'm able to still be involved in like their happenings, even though I may not be present. That's my min. And so I think the min is something that if you have too many things going on, it is so easy to lose sight of the fact that this is what's important in the moment.
I listen again. You take that I mean, I know that's how you show up. This is not a BS, manufactured conversation. That's literally how you show up. I've witnessed that over the past 20 years, but that is so rare. That is so rare, and I'm telling you, I think you have a polarizing effect on people, and I mean this in the most sincere way. People either really look up to you and really want to dive more into being like Stephen,
or they hate your guts.
yeah, or they're like, this guy is from a different planet. There's no way he lives like this. He's full of you know what I mean? Like people, just you have that polarizing effect because some people don't even believe that that's possible today with all the noise. But here's another thing that I hear you saying, and I don't want to take this out of context, but correct me if I'm wrong. The men is a lot about saying no and pruning.
Totally.
Right? Like pruning. And that's so hard to do these days because it's so, we're in this yes culture and do this and do that and get caught up in it. And sometimes it's like, no, find out. And you mentioned it too, like, what's my purpose of life? Like living your purpose versus like, I can't be the best Stephen. I can be the best Chad, but I got to be true to what's right for me. And that definition is different for everybody. So being crystal clear on that is vitally important.
We have so many options in our lives now. I think about my parents a lot in terms of like the options that they had. Their options were like infinitesimally small compared to ours. And so I think, that's the other thing is if you don't have somebody that backs you up on saying no, you could be so overcommitted, spread so thin, trying to do it all and never make any real impact. And trust me, I struggle with saying no, particularly as a business owner and a parent and, somebody that, wants to enjoy like some of the finer things in life, and wants what's best for my family members. But I also know you can run yourself ragged trying to say yes to everything. And then all of a sudden you're not very good at very much. And everything's kind of when's the next thing happening as opposed to enjoying what you're doing now.
Yeah, the men, right? Getting back
Yes.
to you lose sight of the men.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that, and the other thing that, we've talked about over the years is staying clear on the vision, right? Like what does the next 36 months look like? What does the next 5 years look like? What is the next, and again, those things might ebb and flow because life and things happen, but making sure that every day you're moving kind of, what am I doing today that's helping me move towards that vision, whatever that vision is and whatever's right for you, that is so powerful because it allows you to audit, see how you're doing, allows you to stay true to the, to the end game. Those are things that obviously, again, I think you do inherently, but that shows up, Stephen, every time I get a chance to spend time with you.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you. I think I'm glad that comes through. I don't want to be polarizing, but I think it's a really wise statement actually because it is something it's something that I have encountered because when you are making kind of strong decisions, there are people that don't always necessarily they aren't always happy with that.
Yeah. I also think that people think that, and again, this is just my hypothesis, maybe like this guy isn't real. He doesn't manage the multi-million-dollar business that he manages, run a house. I mean, it's like there's no way he can't do
You make me
that.
look
Like,
very good. You make me look very good. But
so
yeah, no, I mean, I hope that's not the case. But from another perspective, I could see that in some way.
yeah. So let's bring it down again. There's a lot of different things. So you work with a lot of leaders in at a lot of different levels, right? Large, the C-suite, all the way down the front lines. Just take leadership, and I know that's such a broad topic, but just take leadership. I might be a new leader, I might be a seasoned leader. What are the Stephen Giordano top 2 to 3 things that you would say must stay focused on as a leader to drive effectiveness, stay effective, and continue to drive results with your people?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. There's so many. I hate these kinds of questions where you're
Yeah.
narrowing down. Not to say I don't like your questions, but I gave some thought to this, and if I define them, I think the right way. I just think finding clarity is like you have to be clear on both what you stand for and why it matters, right? And that goes for the values you hold to what we're trying to accomplish, why we're shooting for it. Like that clarity is tremendous. I think the other part, though, is this idea of consistency. And what I mean by that is, are you in everything you do walking the talk, right? And demonstrating that. I think about this as a dad so much because I know when I was looking at my father, particularly when I was older in life, like you start to have that eye for, he's not superhero, but sometimes it's easy to call out the flaws of your parents. And I put myself in those shoes now because my oldest is 20, my second is 18. And I know they start to pick out the flaws in dad. And I see the fact that it's even more important for me to like walk the talk all the time so that they see that like what you stand for is not getting compromised depending on which way the wind blows. And then the last part is you got to demonstrate every single day as a leader that you care about your people. There have to be actions that you care about your people. And the way that I tell leaders are like, who are the first people you're thinking about every single day? And hopefully it's your family, but it should be the people you're leading as second. And how do you let them know that you're thinking about them and moving in that direction? I think those are 3 big ones. Those are 3. Being clear on your mission, totally, and being consistent, and then demonstrating you care.
What's you do a lot of fastest, and I want to get into day one here in just a minute, but what's energy for Stephen these days? What do you really enjoy doing in the line of work that you do?
I love coaching. We had a small group yesterday, myself and I was working with Shay Carpenter, who's another amazing professional in our industry. And we had a small group of like 6 people, and we just put them through the paces of, real boot camp of coaching very, very personally. I love it. I love the coaching aspect. I love seeing kind of the longer term growth over 6 months. How's this person evolving? I love celebrating the successes of them, seeing how the process is working. I love talking to stakeholders and noticing like the process that we're doing here is working and it's making a big difference, and that the organization is benefiting from the work we're doing. So I love that. Another thing that's energy producing is I do a good amount of work in nonprofits, in schools, and with religious organizations. And especially in some of these religious organizations that I work in, like I work with young men who are in the process of going into the priesthood and teaching them some of the skills that you and I can like live and breathe, and how helpful they see it in their ministry and helping people, whether they're going to like prisons or helping drug addicts or helping people in the parish or people that are downtrodden, that it's working, and that it makes a big difference and that they feel much more confident when they have it. So things that I just think take great root. I was out in India doing a bunch of programs for some people for a large bank financial institution. And it's an American company, but they have a huge presence in India. And what was really amazing there, which I found very gratifying, is like being an ambassador for the American side and coming there to help them as they grow so quickly, exponentially, to help them really lean into what does it mean to be careful and effective managers to get the best out of so many important resources and people there. And I found the purpose of that was so clear. Like, this is such a vital part of the business. It's a growing part of the business, and we want our people to feel cared for, and we want them to be nurturing amazing, amazing team members. So those are definitely energy producing.
What?
The other thing, let me just add this.
Yeah.
I love leading a team. I love leading a team. I get so much energy by seeing, like, I call our team the Avengers, because we all have different superpowers, and when we work together, it's like we are constantly kicking Thanos' ass. Excuse the expression.
Awesome. That's okay.
Yeah.
What's stuff? What's things that, are necessary in the business, but, they're more
Oh,
obligation, things you have to do.
uh, the back office stuff, the stuff that's not, the stuff that just has to do with the day-to-day operations, right? I don't mind getting my hands involved with that. I have to in a small company, as you do, I'm sure. But that stuff. But thankfully, I don't know if I would tolerate too much stuff if I had to. I think, and that's really a very small part of my work day, which is getting in stuff with the stuff that just making sure the business is operating from an operational standpoint that's efficient. I think the other stuff for me is oftentimes like process improvement. I know that we can always improve our process. It's not a huge strength for me to kind of look in and find the root of like where's our process flawed and be able to fix it. That's not my strength. I've never claimed to have it. But I do have to engage in that, and that's a little bit more of a headache. A little bit
Yeah.
more of a headache.
See,
I'm
this
also
is
not
where
a natural marketer.
this is where listeners are gonna go, no, this guy ain't real. He doesn't have any stuff in his life. Like, he doesn't. There's nothing that
Yeah,
makes.
no, yeah, you know what? It's
Again, you're just authentically showing
no,
up.
I'm
This is
being honest. I'm being
yeah.
honest. There, Chad, you and I say this just because I take a lot of the example and lead from you. I don't wake up any day saying, "Shoot, I have this crud on my plate that I have to clear it off." I'm blessed. I am so blessed. God has blessed me so much. Um, and leaning into what you do and what you love for a long period of time, as I have, you kind of learn to shake off the stuff that's not really that gratifying.
Well, this is truth. If it ever became that way for you, you would find another path. I
I
mean,
told you.
yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
Which again, that's another. How many people live out? I only got 11 years left before I
Yeah.
retire. I only got 12 years left.
But that's what I bring in. That's what I mean when it comes to, and I know your team is amazing too. But if there is stuff, normally one of my teammates is amazing at that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and they're happy to take it on.
It's their energy. Yeah.
It's their
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
So I've been very one might say I've been very slow to grow the team. Like, I'm not building a multinational organization, but as I've grown, I've realized what is becoming stuff for me, and I've hired people to take that stuff on. And for them, it's energy producing. They love it, or they're really good at it, and they see how much of an impact it makes, and it's not a talent that I have.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I think I'm not taking all the credit for like being the person that's saying no to the stuff and only the stuff that's sexy and effective or sexy and stimulating. But thankfully, I have a team that makes that happen, and that I can't say enough about my team, who are amazing, and also the fact that how light work becomes when you have a team that you trust and that are capable people.
Yeah, again, this is another point that I think you take for granted. Now, you were able to create your team. Some people inherit teams, right? So there's a big difference there. However, I believe that, and this is a point that I think everybody needs to take away, again, me included, is that you leverage your team in ways that set them up for success, right? And the pieces make a better whole, because
Yes.
people are focused on things that are energy for them. And you understand, like you said, you understand your people, you care about your people, you know what's energy for them, you know what's stuff. There's always a stuff factor. Adam Carroll always says there's a 20% stuff factor in anything that we do, but you're setting your team up for the ability to do things that are energy for them.
Yes.
And it's not that you're changing job description all the time, but you're maybe reallocating resources based on who shows up best and who enjoys that work. That's
Totally.
powerful as a
And,
leader.
totally. Or who wants to be stretched a little bit,
Right.
right? Who wants to be stretched a little bit? And if there is stuff, I feel that very personally, that I don't want anybody on my team to be inundated with stuff. And so we try and work through it,
Yeah.
right? We try and work through it.
So if you look at, I think when we've both ventured off and started our own organizations, I think what we did mirrored each other closely in the beginning. I think over the past 15, 20 years, I think our business models have shifted. I think it's like a Venn diagram, right? Day one sits here, Carden Group sits here, and there's some things that we do in the middle. And I think when we do team up, we're a pretty kick butt team.
Awesome.
And I always have fun doing it.
I do
But
too.
tell the listeners, like, when it comes to day one, what are some of the things that, what's the mission? What do you guys show up doing well? What do you guys find, in meaningful work? How do you work with, just give an overview of day one and the impact that you guys have, which is, again, globally is the footprint.
I think we are really great at taking something that an organization says we want to develop in our people that they don't have or we need to strengthen. But we need to do it in a smart and deliberate way so that they're building their skill sets over time, getting confidence in it, and then finding success, and then that success breeds greater commitment to them doing it more. So we design a lot of bespoke programs, both long-term and short-term. We are really good at really kind of identifying like a skill and leaning into it in a short period of time to get people very familiar with it. So like we're great at like 90-minute, 2-hour, 1-hour soundbite programs that have a really specific scope and focus that gets people to be aware of what good looks like, have them see what good looks like, have them practice what good looks like, get feedback on what good looks like, and then develop the confidence to bring that to the table.
And when you talk about skills, you mean like a lot of soft skills, right? Leadership,
Soft
sales, customer service,
personal skills, sales, self-management. Right now, we're rolling out a program called Performing Under Pressure. And so this is meant to help people develop the skill sets for dealing with stress in the workplace. And so that's a skill set. And it's both an awareness piece as well as a deployment of practical tools to be able to combat stress. We do a lot of stuff on communication, right? When I have the microphone or when other people have the microphone. How do I understand how much proportion of time I have the microphone? And if I do have it, what should I be doing with it? And if I'm giving the microphone to somebody else, what should I have them do with it so that we have a meaningful conversation? Helping new generations in the workplace. And how do you make the connection, even if you're a leader, but you're working with different generations from all 4 or 5 that are represented these days? How do you tap into that, be conscious of it, be more expert at it, be fluid, be new? And so we're really good at isolating those skills and learning opportunities and helping people really devote some focus on it so that they feel more comfortable doing it. So that's one. I think the other place in the executive coaching space, we're really good at that. We have a really solid methodology that helps people develop an action plan and bring their performance from where they are now to a really defined next step of impact.
Yeah.
So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. You guys show up well in that space. We always like co-branding with you. And as you know, we resource share, right? You mentioned Shay. I mean, I have personally appreciated, there are times, that ebbs and flows in this business, right? There's peaks and there's valleys. And when there's times where potentially people that I have leveraged a lot to work on our clients and work on our projects. Maybe there's a gap in time. I always know, like, I want to keep, selfishly, I want to keep these people in the business, in the
Totally,
industry,
totally,
because
right.
they're really good at what they do. And then, we lean on each other, and Stephen, I'm honored to call you a friend, obviously a colleague. It's been a lot of
Good to see
fun.
you.
And I think hopefully we got a few more years left, right, of
No,
doing this,
totally,
having
totally.
fun.
We had great role models. Your dad did this work until what? How old was he, Chad, when he retired?
Well, he sold it when I was about 20. So, I mean, in about 50, he got out of it and then
Yeah.
did some other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad did work in this area until he was in his early 70s.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, that was all passion stuff. He got paid for it, but man, him, he always woke up every day saying, I love what I do and I'll continue to do it until God tells me different. And I want to do the same thing.
That's awesome. Where
Yeah.
can people find you if they want to find you?
Best way, reach out. Website is Day One Group, DAY, numeral one, GROUP. We're in LinkedIn too under Day One Group or my name, Stephen Giordano. Uh, that's probably the best ways to find us. Um, but we love what we do and we continue to do it well. And thankfully, we find these opportunities to make an impact.
Well, listen, it's been a fun path. I want to be curious of your time. I thank you for joining, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Chad, it's been a pleasure. You did a great job here, especially for my first time doing a podcast from this side of the microphone. I've enjoyed it a lot. Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done. Anytime.
I
I appreciate
appreciate
the
it. See you,
invitation.
Stephen.
Thank you.